from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 10. Tadaham te bharishyami Mahapurushuko bhavan Yasya sararatam asu Shanmukunde mati sati. Word for word. Tat, that. Aham, I. Te, unto you. Abhidasyami, shall recite. Mahapurushika, the most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. Bhavan, your good self. Yasya, of which. Sararatam, of one who gives full respect and attention. Asu, very soon. Syat, it so becomes. Mukunde, unto the Lord who awards salvation. Mati, faith. Sati, unflinching. Translation. That very Srimad Bhagavatam I shall recite before you, because you are the most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. One who gives full attention and respect to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord, the giver of salvation. Translation, please repeat. That very Srimad Bhagavatam I shall recite before you, because you are the most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. One who gives full attention and respect to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord, the giver of salvation. Purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is recognized Vedic wisdom, and the system of receiving Vedic knowledge is called Avaroha Pantha, or the process of receiving transcendental knowledge through bona fide disciplic succession. For advancement of material knowledge, there is a need for personal ability and researching aptitude. But in the case of spiritual knowledge, all progress depends more or less on the mercy of the spiritual master. Spiritual master must be satisfied with the disciple. Only then is knowledge automatically manifest before the student of spiritual science. The process should not, however, be misunderstood to be something like magical feats whereby the spiritual master acts like a magician and injects spiritual knowledge into his disciple as if surcharging him with an electric current. The bona fide spiritual master reasonably explains everything to the disciple on the authority of Vedic wisdom. The disciple can receive such teachings not exactly intellectually, but by submissive inquiries and a service attitude. The idea is that both the spiritual master and the disciple must be bona fide. In this case, the spiritual master, Sukadeva Goswami, is ready to recite exactly what he has learnt from his great father, Srila Vyasadeva, and the disciple, Maharaj Parikshit, is a great devotee of Lord Krishna. A devotee of Lord Krishna is he who believes sincerely that by becoming a devotee of the Lord, one becomes fully equipped with everything spiritual. This teaching is imparted by the Lord himself in the pages of the Bhagavad Gita, in which it is clearly described that the Lord Sri Krishna is everything, and that to surrender unto him solely and wholly makes one the most perfectly pious man. This unflinching faith in Lord Krishna prepares one to become a student of Srimad Bhagavatam, and one who hears Srimad Bhagavatam from a devotee like Sukadeva Goswami is sure to attain salvation at the end, as Maharaj Parikshit did. The professional reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam and the pseudo-devotees whose faith is based on 1 week's hearing are different from Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. Srila Vyasadeva explained Srimad Bhagavatam unto Sukadeva Goswami from the very beginning of the Janmadhyasya verse, and so Sukadeva Goswami also explained it to the king. Lord Krishna is described as the Mahapurusha in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, in his devotional feature as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Krishna himself in his devotional attitude, descended on earth to bestow special favours upon the fallen souls of this age of Kali. There are two verses particularly suitable to offer as prayers to this Mahapurush feature of Lord Krishna. Deyam sada paribhavagnam adishtodoham tirthas padam shiva virinshinutam saranyam prityatiham pranatapala babadbiputam vande mahapurushate chananavindam chakba sudasyaja surekshita rajya lakshmim damishta arya vachasa yat agat aranyam maya mrigam daitaye pshitam anbadavad Vande Mahapurusha Te Charanarvindam. Bhagavatam 11:533 to 34. A little bit of a long purport, I'll just finish it here. In other words, Purusha means the enjoyer, Mahapurush means the supreme enjoyer, or the supreme personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. One who deserves to approach the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna is called the Mahapurushika. Anyone who hears Srimad Bhagavatam attentively from its bona fide reciter is sure to become a sincere devotee of the Lord who is able to award liberation. There was none so attentive as Maharaj Parikshit in the matter of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. There was none so qualified as Sukadeva Goswami to recite the text of Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, anyone who follows in the footsteps of either the ideal reciter or the ideal hearer, Sukadeva Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit respectively, will undoubtedly attain salvation like them. Maharaj Parikshit attained salvation by hearing only, and Sukadeva Goswami attained salvation only by reciting. Recitation and hearing are two processes out of 9 devotional activities, and by strenuously following these principles, either in all or by parts, one can attain the absolute plane. So the complete text of Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning with the Janmadhyasya verse up to the last one in the 12th canto, was spoken by Sukadeva Goswami for the attainment of salvation by Maharaj Parikshit. In the Padma Purana, it is mentioned that Gautama Muni advised Maharaj Ambarish to hear regularly Srimad Bhagavatam as it was recited by Sukadeva Goswami, and herein is confirmed that Maharaj Ambarish heard Srimad Bhagavatam from the very beginning to the end as it was spoken by Sukadeva Goswami. One who is actually interested in the Bhagavatam, therefore must not play with it by reading or hearing a portion from here and a portion from there. One must follow in the footsteps of great kings like Maharaj Ambarish or Maharaj Parikshit and hear from the bona fide representative of Sukadeva Goswami. So Sukadeva Goswami is establishing the prerequisites for actually making rapid advancement in spiritual life. In the Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada talks about rapid advancement. One can make advancement just like you can cook, make a fire and put the pot way up here. The heat may get there, but it'll take a long time to cook the dinner. But if you put the pot right on the flame, it's going to be very quick. So similarly, by following in the footsteps of great devotees and following them cent per cent, then one makes rapid advancement. I always remember Prabhupada told us when I was initiated, and he said that one devotee asked Prabhupada what this meaning of this Om Apavitra Pavitro Va Sarvavashna we used to chant at the yajnas, at the initiations, but at that time, early days, no one knew what the translation was. But we knew that we had to chant this mantra, so everyone chanted it. So then Madhavisa, I think it was, who asked Prabhupada, what's the actual meaning of this mantra? We're chanting, what's the meaning? He said, Om Apavitra Pavitra. Pundarikaksham refers to the lotus-eyed personality of God. Om Apavitra Pavitra. So whether one is purified or unpurified, if one surrenders unto the supreme Pundarikaksham, the lotus-eyed Lord, then one will attain perfection. And he said, just like Krishna is pure, and we are originally pure, but now we are covered by this external energy. But to associate nicely with Krishna, we also need to be pure. And Krishna is pure, just like water and oil, they don't mix so well. but water and water mix very nicely. So if one wants to actually have very wonderful association with Krishna, be situated very nicely in their spiritual consciousness, in their spiritual life, then one has to become to the purified level. So in this verse, Sukadeva Goswami is advocating, and Prabhupada explained in his purport, that one has to follow in the footsteps. This verse and the next few verses are very famous verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Etan Nidvijamanam is the next verse. Icham Kutabha Yoginam Harinam Anukirtanam. And he goes on to say in the next verse that even in the chanting, Harinam Anukirtanam, follow in the footsteps of great devotees. Anyone can chant, and it's wonderful. But if you want to come to the high levels of chanting, pure consciousness, then follow, see what the great devotees have done, how they chant. And so here it is also said, this has to be done. Here it is said, Avaroha Panta. It's actually, it's revealed within you. It is there, but it's now we're covered. We're distracted from our original position. So therefore, it has to be revived and revealed to you within your own heart. It's not like, as Prabhupada says here, a materialist who, by their intellectual prowess and ability, tries to learn things, tries to explore different, make advances in so many ways. They have to use their intellect and their prowess and experiment here and experiment there, then come to a conclusion, and then once that, and then you trial test that, and it's more or less kind of trial and error. You trial test it and you perfect that more, then everyone follows that. Down the line everyone follows that, but to go ahead further, then you again have to use your intellect, try to learn new things in that way. But spiritual life is not like that. That's there because we're imperfect in the conditioned stage, and therefore we have to rely on our own abilities. We haven't again connected properly with the Supreme Lord, so therefore we're relying on our own senses and intellect and mind, that we're subject to mistakes. So we go along trial and error, we experiment, and then we come to a conclusion. It kind of works, we perfect it more. And so that's the way of material understanding of things. That's the way of material progress. But spiritual progress is not like that. Spiritual progress is, as Prabhupada says here, avaroha panta. It is coming down. It is always there. It is always there. In one sense, there's nothing new to be learnt because it is there. It is already there. But just that now it is covered by our own. Just like now, we can't see the sun because there's clouds, but the sun exists. The sun always exists. But the clouds are. So when we're in material consciousness, that material consciousness is covering our understanding and our relationship with Krishna, although it's always there. So spiritual life is like, it's always there. So someone who is actually in a liberated position, someone who is a great sadhu, someone who's a great devotee, someone who's a great guru, and how have they become great gurus and sadhus, devotees? They have followed in the footsteps of the predecessors, and it is mentioned here. I think it was in the previous verse, was it? 2 verses ago. At the end of the Dwapara, I studied this great supplement of Vedic literature named Srimad Bhagavatam from my father, Srila Dvaipayana Vyas. So Sukadeva Goswami learned from his father, who was a liberated soul. So Sukadeva now is teaching it to Parikshit. That is called the parampara, disciplic succession, and that is the way to attain perfection in spiritual life. He is presenting it, and how have they become great devotees? Who is the great sadhu, the great guru, the one who has been the good disciple can become a great guru. The good disciple can become the one who is aspiring devotee can become a great devotee. And how to do that? By following in the footsteps. So Sukadeva Goswami very much establishes that here and in the next verse and so on. Ichatam Kutaba, Harinam Anuk, even in the way of chanting, follow as the others have been doing it. There's no need to manufacture anything, it is already there. We have to just try to understand that these things are perfect and it's coming down in the cyclic succession. So, here it is said, so the Guru must be qualified to impart this knowledge, and also the disciple must be qualified to receive it nicely. So all these elements have to be there. In the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna asked Arjuna, have you heard all this with an attentive mind? Is your illusion and ignorance now dispelled? And Arjuna said, he says that yes, by your mercy, my illusion is gone, my ignorance is dispelled, and I'm fully prepared to act according to your instructions. So, Arjuna could have responded. When Krishna said, and Prabhupada explains there that Krishna acting as Guru, he is Adi Guru, original Guru. He was acting as the Guru of Arjuna. And being a Guru, Prabhupada explains, he was asking Arjuna whether he understood everything. And he was prepared to re-explain any point. It's the duty of the Guru. If the disciple doesn't understand, the Guru is prepared to re-explain any point, so the disciple has clarity and clears up a misunderstanding and so on and so forth. And so when Krishna asked that question, then Arjuna said, yes, I have heard everything with an attentive mind, and my ignorance is dispelled by your mercy. Now, he wasn't puffed up. He could have replied, yes, Krishna, I've heard everything, but I knew everything already. You didn't have to really explain anything to me because I knew it already. No, he wasn't like that. He said, no, it is by your mercy that I have come out of my ignorance, my illusion is dispelled. And not only that, he said that I've heard you, I'm out of illusion and ignorance, I'm prepared to act according to your instruction. Now he could have said, well, I've heard you, but I'm not going to act according to your instruction. Thanks, but no thanks. He could have said that. But being very intelligent, understanding the position of Krishna, Adigu, the knowable, everything expands from him. His ignorance was dispelled, his illusion was gone. What Krishna had said, now I'm prepared to act according to your instruction. So the disciple has to be like that, not blind following, asking questions, trying to get the proper understanding. If there's a misunderstanding, again asking, and so on and so forth, trying to overcome the obstacles. All these things have to be there. And on top of that, so here Prabhupada says that there must be some sort of respect there and submission there to, that's all these elements have to be there. Even in the material world, in ordinary studies, you can't have a bad attitude when you go to school or you go to university. You're not going to get very far. You're all kind of proud and arrogant. The lecturer is giving the lecture, and you're kind of all arrogant and challenging, and it's not going to serve you well. There's a certain amount of, you have to know the subject matter, but there's a certain amount that you have to satisfy the one who's presenting the topic. Because attitude is a very important part of anything. And anyone will tell you in the workforce, I've talked to many, I've talked to CEOs of, companies and so on, and they tell me that actually attitude is very, very important. Someone may be well qualified, may have a degree, may have this and that and the other, but if the attitude is bad, you bring him in or bring her in, they're going to wreak havoc in there. They're going to wreak havoc in there because they're not going to get on with this one. They're arguing with it, and they're going to try to override that one. So attitude, he said, when we interview people, we take special attention to see what their attitude is, in all this, because otherwise, even though they may be qualified in other ways, But if the attitude, so that's very, very important. So attitude in spiritual life is very, very important. You have to, here it is said, you have to be respectful to the Bhagavatam. You have to be a sincere devotee. You have to be respectful, and you have to give proper attention. Now, giving attention to anything these days, I don't know, there's a lot of distractions around. You sit in the class and I remember even when we were children going to school, if you're looking out the window or something like that, talking to someone else, the teacher teaching, you'll get reprimanded. Hey, you're disturbing the class, or you're not paying attention. Pay attention. I remember that all the time. Pay attention. Pay attention. Don't look out the window. Don't talk. Don't scribble. Don't do this. You have to pay attention. Now, it's hard to pay attention. Now, Prabhupada explained in the first canon of the Srimad Bhagavatam, in one purport, that to give rapt attention, he uses the word rapt attention, to give full attention to a thing, your mind has to be purified. You have to be pure in thought and mind, and if you're not pure in thought and mind, then you won't be pure in action. And if you're not pure in action, then all your endeavours will be distracted. So you won't be able to give full attention if you're not in the state of at least the mode of goodness. You understand? Even though we want to give, we sit there and I'm going to really pay attention to this class, But, we're all wandering off. And that's because our mind is not peaceful. It's not in the sattvic, and it's certainly not in the Sudha sattvic. So therefore, the acharyas give so many prescriptions to make our lives come to the mode of goodness physically and mentally. So then we can give rapt attention, not only to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, we can give rapt attention to our chanting. We chant. I mean, how attentive are we chanting, whether it's a kirtan or whether it's a japa, we're chanting and Hare Krishna. We used to have terms for this type of japa when we were young brahmacharis, We used to call, what was that one called?
Dive bomber japa.
Oh yeah, dive bomber japa. No, that wasn't dive bomber japa. That's what we used to call it. That's called dive bomber japa. And went to Prabhupada one time. We was in a plane, and the disciples were sitting in the next row back, and they were all. He said that he was very upset because it didn't look good for the devotees to be doing like that. They're all supposedly chanting, So this is sleepy or distracted. We used to call a radar japa. Jnana japa. Used to have all different categories of japa. So, how long can you concentrate your mind on even one mantra? Try that. Okay, just do one mantra, Hare Krishna, and see whether your mind doesn't go off. Because the perfection of spiritual life is not only when your body is engaged, but when your mind is engaged. And Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that when you conquered your mind, and when your mind is fixed on me, you have reached me. You have reached me. So the mind is everyone knows the mind is very powerful. It can do many things, even as far as, remaining healthy. We know that, I had an auntie that was always sick, but when she went to the doctor so many times, so many different specialists, they couldn't find anything wrong with her. And most of them concluded it was mental. And after a while she did get sick, but because of that, because of her mental state. She got sick because of her mental state. So the mind is very powerful. It does affect our body in so many ways. So first of all, now how to purify the mind, how to purify our actions, how to purify ourselves. These are all the prescriptions that are given by the great acharyas There are things to follow, things to avoid. These are, ultimately these are temporary things. In the liberated stage, we don't need to follow these things. Just like someone who's broken a leg, they have to go on the crutches. Right? They have to use crutches to walk around because they've broken their leg. The leg's in plaster. But when the leg gets, healed, it's not that he's going to keep using the crutches. Right? So similarly, now we're all on the beginning and intermediate level of devotional advancement. So we've got a few crutches that we have to use. Crutches we have to use. We have to follow these things, avoid those things, and our mind has to be like this. And so these are. But in the liberated stage, these things are no longer necessary. We're just fixed in our Krishna consciousness. No one needs to tell us to think of Krishna. We just can't stop thinking of Krishna. This is a pure devotee. There's one verse in the Bhagavatam where it is explained that if one's it doesn't cry when they chant Krishna's name, then their heart is like a stone. It's like a stone. So the very, very advanced devotees, they're chanting Krishna, they're crying. Rashika there, and here the word used, in another verse, the rasa, the mellow, the experience of transcendence. Rasa, they are rasika, full of mellow, full of love. At the moment we are vairashika. We have some rasika, but not so much yet. So therefore we have to follow certain prescription, gradually, and at the moment now we're giving attention, but not on the level of these great devotees like Parikshit Maharaj. So Sukadeva was very qualified, a guru, liberated soul, Nitya Siddha. Nitya Siddha means eternally liberated, and he heard from his father to become more realized. It's not that in spiritual life there's no static. It's always moving and in flux and advancing very wonderfully. So Sukadeva Goswami became more advanced, hearing from his father, hearing from Krishna. Later on, as he heard from Janak Maharaj, he heard from Narad Muni, he heard from so many he heard from. And he became even more advanced. And Prabhupada one time said, do you not think that after coming, I was studying so much and writing and giving lectures, but after coming to the West and giving more lectures, you don't think I advanced even more? I advanced even more. I had to present the Krishna consciousness, and presenting the Krishna consciousness, you have to have the realization. So this is very, very important. So Sukadeva was very qualified, and Parikshit Maharaj, being a very, as the word is used here, most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna, Mahapurushiko. Now, reference is given here by Prabhupada to Mahapurush. Mahapurush means, Purusha means the enjoyer. All of us have an enjoying tendency. The supreme enjoyer is Krishna. And those who, he is the great. He enjoys everything expands from him. We are also enjoys in our own domains. But when we serve Krishna, we actually expand our enjoyment. We expand our enjoyment. That connection is established or re-established. We expand it. So Mahapurushika, by doing that we become a very sincere, surrendered devotee. Most sincere. Now Sukadeva Goswami, he is saying that I am teaching you this Bhagavatam to you. This Bhagavatam is the Nigama Kalpataro Galitam Palam Sukha Mukaramrita Dava Sampibata Bhagavatam Rasamala Muhura Huru Sikam Bhuvi Bhav. It is the perfection, the ripened fruit of the Vedic knowledge. To taste the Bhagavatam, it is a very perfect literature, a spiritual transcendental sound. And so not all will be able to appreciate this as it should be appreciated. Just like if I gave you a mango. Let's say I gave you a mango and you just ate the skin. Right? Wait a minute, no, that you're not getting, the real juice is not the skin, it's the mango itself. You eat the skin, okay, you're going to get a little mango on there, you might get, but it's the skin of the mango. But the real juice, So there are those who are not very deep in their spiritual, who even, Prabhupada says here, there are those who just make a show. That, like Parikshit Maharaj heard for 7 days, totally fixed, without thinking about anything else, hearing from Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva was totally fixed in reciting it, and Parikshit Maharaj is totally fixed in hearing it. That means he was of pure mind, he was a very high devotee. And Sukadeva Goswami said, you are worthy to hear this properly. You are worthy to do it. So that's why Prabhupada says here, both guru and disciple have to be qualified. Just like at school. I mean, you can go to, say you want to go to university, you can, somehow or other you get into the most prestigious university in the country. You get in. And you got the university is great, all the lecturers, the different courses are great, but if you're a bad student, you're going to fail. You can have everything else, but you yourself have to also be a qualified student. You understand this point? It's very important. So we ourselves have to be qualified. It's not enough to go around, oh, my guru is the best, my guru is, sometimes we hear that, my guru is the most advanced of all the gurus, and I've got to go, but yes, but what about you? What's your position? You have to be qualified also to actually understand and to actually make advancement and to make rapid advancement. One can take it casually, and they'll make advancement. But if you want to be serious, then you have to follow certain procedures. And it's not like, and Prabhupada mentioned, Kali Krishna mentioned about those who make a show of being a guru. It's some sort of magical thing. You get the Shaktipat, I think you said the Shaktipat, that Prabhupada mentions here. So charging him with an electric current. You go to the guru and he's going to go, and it's not like that. Maybe there may be some feeling there, or maybe it's imagined, or maybe they use some sort of, there was one famous guru who used to be able to just produce ash, but then some magician actually investigated him, and he used to come like this and produce ash, and it was found out that he was getting the ash out of him like this. So some actually really just cheat, And I told the story a while ago about the big yogi down in Calcutta by the Ganga. He used to sit by the Ganga, and he was just like this, really serious, grave, big beard and everything like that. And many would come. Because, the sadhu in the saffron, everything, big beard, and they would pay their obeisances, and they were offering him all sorts of, he would say, no, just offer it to the Ganga. Offer it to the Ganga. So, some people were a bit suspicious of this fellow, and they kind of waited around at the end of the day, at the night time, and they saw when everyone left, all the things that they gave him, he after everyone had left in the middle of the night, he went to the Ganga and he had a net there. He pulled them all those things they'd offered to him, he pulled them all up and took them home. So he was making a show of being renounced. No, I don't want these things, just offer them to Mother Ganga. But then he had the net there and he pulled. So there's all sorts of people. So you have to, it is said that in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, the guru and the disciple have to observe each other. Actually, it is mentioned there for a period of 3 years. Of course, the Prabhupada established his own standard, but they said like that, it's not that you just accept this guru, okay, let's observe him, and you understand a little bit of what a guru is supposed to be, and also the guru has to observe the disciple, and they qualified to be a disciple, you have to, just like anything, you have to be qualified to get into some institute, or it's not that you're just going to accept anyone. Otherwise, why? Because it's not going to be effective. It's not going to be effective. The main thing is that we want it to be effective. So therefore, to be effective, you have to follow all these things, not make a show, as mentioned here, and be a Mahapurushiko. So just like Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya, in the mood of a devotee, here Lord Chaitanya is mentioned at the end here, that he freely bestowed to everyone this mood of being a sincere devotee, absorbed totally in Krishna consciousness. So especially in the Kali Yuga, a very materialistic age where people are not very interested in these things, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made it very easy. Just do this chanting. But of course, those who want to go high in the chanting, then just like we chant in our Shikshastra, Chetoda Pranamajanam Baba Trinadapi Sunichana, also, be humble, be more tolerant than the tree. If you want to advance in your chanting, then you have to have a certain attitude. This will help and allow, and Krishna becomes pleased with that, and he reveals himself within your own heart. So this is the secret of spiritual advancement. That the Guru has to be satisfied, Krishna has to be satisfied, and then automatically you will be satisfied. And if all these ingredients are there, all these elements are there, you will actually go to the position as mentioned here. Just like Sukadev, you can actually attain a position like Sukadev Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. Here it says, therefore, anyone who follows in the footsteps of either the ideal reciter or the ideal hearer, Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit respectively, will undoubtedly attain salvation like them. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. I'll read this again if anyone has any question or comment. That very Srimad Bhagavatam I shall recite before you, because you are the most sincere devotee of Lord Krishna. One who gives full attention in respect to hearing Srimad Bhagavatam achieves unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord, the giver of salvation. I went a little bit long, but we've got maybe time for a question or two. Just trying to get the microphone working. No? Okay. You might just have to call out your... might need a battery or something. Have to call it out. Sorry.
Misunderstanding examination is what you do. For example, the example that was heard about one of the people who was starting Ganga throwing off as though he was a mouse. And then when the disciples saw that, they rejected him completely. But my immediate thought then was that the Guru was seeing Mother Ganga as superior to himself, and then was taking remnants.
Well, I think that was when the story was told. I think Prabhupada tells that story. He didn't present it in that way. He presented it that the Guru actually was just trying to enjoy, and he was just using Mother Ganga. It could be like that, because someone could be like that. But if that's the case, then why do it so sneakingly? You know what I mean? Wait till the middle of the night and then get it up. He would say, offer it to Mother Ganga first, and then I will take the remnants. So, but Prabhupada presented that story to show the lesson of the cheating sadhu and the cheating guru. So, so there are all sorts of nuances to understanding things, and so therefore one has to very carefully study these books. Read these books and study these books and hear from other advanced devotees, and then hear from the Guru. So before one accepts the Guru, one has to know about what is a Guru, or what a Guru is supposed to be. This is all explained in books like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore Prabhupada was very enthusiastic to distribute these books all over the world, so people can at least have a preliminary idea of these things, these essential items, such as what is Guru, what is a disciple, who is Krishna, what is spiritual life, and all these basic things. When you get a basic idea, then you can start to make progress and arrange to follow someone that will help you advance in your spiritual life. Yes, last question.
You spoke about the importance of being attentive while hearing and while chanting to get the
Being attentive, yeah.
As a sound vibration. So what you said that obviously acting in mode of goodness helps to purify the mind, therefore helps you to be attentive. And what other factors would you say go into developing attentiveness? I guess
Well, all these things, as all these things, see, the beauty of Krishna consciousness, it's, as Prabhupada would often say, it is the means and the end. Understand that? Where some things are, you use the tools, the hammer and this to make the house. Well, okay, the tools are used, but the house is the end. You understand? But in spiritual life, the process itself is the means to attain the end. It's just that you attain a higher level of it. So in other words, all this chanting, all this Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Shmaranam, there are 9 processes of devotional service, as mentioned here, hearing, chanting, rendering devotional service, worshipping, all these things are mentioned as to you follow them, and they will purify you. Avoid certain things, and intoxications and meat eating and all these things. Follow other things, and all these things taken together will purify us. So we especially the Shravanam, the Kirtan, we chant, we hear, we offer prayers, and what is it? Vandanam, Sakyamatmani, Vedanam. And we follow all these things, and then we actually make it back. And what is the end? More of these things, but on a higher level of it. I remember I've told the story before in Adelaide. One lady at the end of my lecture asked me that, what do you do for your meditation? I said, we chant Hare Krishna. And she said, well, what else do you do? I said, we chant more Hare Krishna. So, yeah, we chant. I was emphasizing on chanting, that there's no need for anything else, although actually devotees perform other activities. But the thing is, you can chant, and you can be on one level, but as you advance, then you go to higher and higher levels of the chanting. So by following the process itself, you come to the higher level of it. Understand? And that purifies us. So, and then as you get purified, then your attention, everything becomes more fixed, and you become like Parikshit. Here the word is used, unflinching faith. Unflinching faith means it's just you have the faith, your attention is all fixed, and then you make very, very strong and rapid advancement in Krishna consciousness. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol.